But that's basically what I do is like, we have a process for taking our stuff and repurposing it. For example, on Instagram, we do it on LinkedIn as well. I found that like this is the two ways that work best for us. Way number one is if you're doing old school and you're actually doing calls, like take the payment right over the phone. Like I know it may feel like you've already taken 60 minutes of their time, but like 2 more minutes for the credit card is not going to make or break them. And this is actually, to me, the more important reason is you standardize delivery in a way where you can repeat it over and over. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I don't even know if we're live or not. I never know with this thing. But here we are rocking some Taicho in the world's best dad. I know we got another some awesome other dads in there, but I got a cool hat, so that makes me cooler than the rest of you dads out there. Clearly a fact. If the world's best dad is based on coolest hat, I also got a matching cup from last year. And another cool cup, actually. Shout out to Lana for putting my face and our branding on there. And for Ilka B for some faces. We just finished an amazing 3 days here in Mexico. Super awesome, bright group of people. What's amazing for me is actually, I've been doing this 16 years, and the people in the room still are blowing my minds with the stuff they know. I'm sure I had that effect on some of them, as well as, just different group members and the private conversations that we had going all weekend, a mixture of fun and OG business stuff. So I'm excited to have you guys. Just a quick little announcement that I want to mention is the Wolfpack's just getting sexier, my guys, my dudes and dudettes, in the sense that we're working to I want to make this like so damn easy for you guys to succeed. So the next piece I'm building is a little bit of a done for you element to just get you conversations with the influencers in your industry that have all the buyers and all the ability to send you stuff and all that good stuff. And I think it's just going to be life-changing for you. So with that aside, I should mention, by the way, you can check that out on your own. By the way, you can go to beyondagencyprofits.com. We got a section up there for the Wolfpack, or you can just go /Wolfpack. It's all the same. beyondagencyprofits.com/Wolfpack, and check that out. In the meantime, let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. I just want you guys to know I watched way too much wrestling as a kid, and now I tried and watch some of the recent stuff, and I couldn't do it. It's not the same. I need like old school 90s children's nostalgia stuff. Every now and then I go on a YouTube bender watching some like The Rock and Stone Cold, or even before that, my The Undertaker, Bret the Hitman Hart, some of those guys. So let's get into the good stuff. Anyways, I'm rambling about wrestling. Let's talk about some business. Chris says, hey guys, so I'm running Frankie's ingenious 5-cent buyer ads on YouTube via the dinner and a show approach. Now my videos aren't amazing, but they're getting better with every new one. But had 3 questions. Is the below engagement good, bad, or average? Is the retention on the landing video, the video they land on after the ads video, good, bad, or average? What is people's usual call to action? YouTube call, text, email, schedule, link click. And is it best done in video or in the description? Any help would be greatly appreciated by those who've gone before. So I'll give you my answers with this, Chris. Understand that I'm always still like experimenting and testing, so this is not like the final say. Like it always bothers me when gurus or people are like, this is the one methodology you must all follow, and if you deviate from the Frankie Finn method, you'll all be fucking failures and losers. I think that's like pure nonsense. So I'm just sharing what's working for us. Is the video itself is not really about engagement, even though it's an engagement campaign. As a general rule, this is I think if you can hit this number, if you can hit the number of approximately $100 to $250, depending on how competitive your niche is, per sales inquiry, you will win in business in the long term, like over and over and over all day long with their service. So like, let's say you're closing 1 in 4 people you talk to, and it's costing you $100 each. That means you should spend about $400 to get a client. Like if you got $1,000 a month to a $10,000 per month service, like that math is going to work all day long. So I always say that because a lot of times people think social media has created these new metrics that, in my opinion, don't really fucking matter in terms of like your agency business, like, you know, like likes and comments and shares, and like those are indicators. So I'm not saying they're bad, but we want to like actually, like, I always say there's a hidden metric, is like, are the right people coming through the machine and requesting sales information and conversations from you? If they're not, then that's a sign you're off course, and if they are, then you're not. So if you're not even at the point where you've spent $100, I don't have the engagement numbers in front of me. I just have your message saved. But that's what we want to look at as a general rule. So as far as what are we doing after, I'll let you know that we end our videos. The call to action is actually to watch a second video, which is like our Loom style videos. And those Loom style videos are like just like really an offer framework that we use over and over. And I put that on YouTube. Any of you guys can watch that. So there's a short form video that kind of teases the offer and then says, if you're interested in that, like, watch the whole thing. And they click and watch another video. Now, at the end of the video, this is kind of a little bit of an important piece, is YouTube does, like, once somebody watches 30 seconds of your video, they charge you as a you know, small nominal cost, but they charge you. So there's no like extra cost if they watch 5 minutes versus 10 minutes versus 20 minutes. So what I recommend is like really holding out the call to action, like 15, 20 seconds, giving people a moment to find it and to be able to click it. But one of our big secrets is if you keep the traffic on YouTube, it gets crazy dirt cheap, because you're not trying to drive them off the platform, right? So for that reason, like, we just like go from YouTube to YouTube directly, like hop from the old YouTube machine to the YouTube machine. And then like it's really just basic sales principles. By the way, a lot of this stuff you guys have seen for years. Like when I talk about dramatic demonstrations, like if you guys ever watched a cheesy infomercial in the 80s or 90s, they all have a demonstration. They're like, you know, the slappy choppy thing, or watch how awesome our vacuum is, or look at our stain removal. They all have demonstrations attached to them. So like that's like a real central piece in our Loom strategy, is we don't say it with words, we show it visually what people are actually getting. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're also experimenting with a little bit of a branded play where we have like amplified content mixed in with a little bit of direct response. So meaning like in one of our campaigns, we'll send 10 videos to the same targeting option, and 8 of those will be content videos, and 2 of those will be like formal direct call to action like you guys have seen over the years. But 8 of those videos are just warming the audience up to the offer that's coming. So we have those as well. So I don't necessarily, again, have it all figured out. I'm just letting you know what we're doing. But like for us, like what I'm looking for is essentially like, are the right people coming through the machine? And that's far more important to me than any number. And as a general guideline, like $100 to $250 per sales inquiry, depending on your niche. Like if you guys are going after like a competitive thing like dentists or lawyers or, you know, plumbers and HVAC, like one of those, like expect it to be more like 200 to 250. If you guys are going after like, you know, less common niches, then like $100 is probably like a good benchmark. Fernando says, has anybody here taken Dennis Yu's content factory concept and figured out how to processize it and implement it in your agency? If so, would love to hear how you did it. Fernando, I mean, we use the Dennis Yu content factory. Dennis was a huge inspiration, you know, obviously a good friend as well in helping us do that. And Dennis content factory, like, I'll tell you how we do it. I'm not saying this is not the way. Again, I'm just sharing what works for us. We do probably more of it on the agency side than we do like for client stuff, but we still like do it as well. And I've even helped a few clients systematize and process their own content factories. So I'll tell you what I do is I firstly batch film videos. So like when you guys see me make videos, like usually like it's a Monday for me, I'll just like film a bunch of videos in a row, sometimes like 5, 10, whatever I feel like doing, whatever the kids will let me do, to be honest. However many videos I can make. And if I make a lot of them, especially I'm doing short form, and so it's like one little short 1-minute videos or 30-second videos, I'll sometimes change t-shirts like every like 10, 15 videos, so it doesn't feel like it's just, you know, all the same thing. But in reality, like they get drip fed over time, but I like batch record them. And then I also write like a daily post, and that's just like a little bit me getting on my soapbox. And then what we do is we have a process for each of those things to be distributed across like 10 different platforms. So anytime I make a long form video, my video guy, Mark, shout out to Mark, who's probably watching this. Mark will go through and chop it up into like anywhere from like 3 to 10 smaller videos, depending on how long it is and how much we can get out of it. And we'll distribute those as well. And then we have a process for like Canva templates to make the thumbnails. We have a Chat GPT thing to write the descriptions. And we have like, I still write the little like 2 to 4 words on the thumbnail. That's like the last piece I'm hanging on to, although I probably should systematize and process that. And so we have like 2 processes. One is like editing content, and there's a person responsible for that. And then there's distribution of content, and that goes across different platforms. And each of those just has like a set of basic instructions inside of Asana. So like posting to Instagram. For those of you guys who aren't following me on Instagram, I'm not that exciting, but you can occasionally see pictures of my kids and my rants if you want to go on there. But that's basically what I do is like, you know, we have a process for taking our stuff and repurposing it. For example, on Instagram, we do it on LinkedIn as well. We do it by email as well. So like you guys, a lot of times you see emails from me, like the process and the flow is that I just write something in a group. And if it catches and enough people are interested in it, then Karen has a process, my VA, to grab that, to upload it to Aweber, which is our email software, to put it into Aweber and to email it out to people. And that's just what we do, is to make sure that like it gets distributed. So a lot of it is just that. It's just like you have 3 processes in the content factory. Is like, how do you create stuff? And that, you know, there's a whole recording thing and all that. There's how do you edit it? And there's a whole set of processes for that. And then like where and how do you distribute it? And if you nail those 3 things, and then the optional piece, I guess, in the Dennis Yu world is you can amplify it with paid ads, which we do as well. But that's really it. Like, it's just those 4 things. That's the Dennis Yu content factory in a nutshell. And it's just like breaking down each of those 4 things to their own process. And so for us, it's like literally just recording a video of like, here's how to edit a video, and then recording a video of like, here's how to upload it to YouTube, and here's the thumbnail, and here's how we create the descriptions using Chat GPT and those kind of things. So, hope that's helpful, my man. We got back-to-back Fernando. He says, yo, Frankie Finn, love the book Beyond the Agency Box. I've got so many questions, but I'll summarize them in the following 3 points. Note, I worked as a one-person agency. I managed it as a glorified job previously with several bosses, and I frankly burned out and got back into the workforce. My man, I think we all get burned out in this at some point. I love the concept of creating extra streams of revenue for clients by reviving past clients by sending them simple emails or email sequences. The problem is using the concept of start off with what you know. The market I know is the nearshore outsourcing market. These are custom software outsourcing firms from Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, etc., who are trying to enter the U.S. market to sell their services. The price differential is more advantageous to Americans because of the lower cost in Latin America. These are firms that have no prior U.S. clients, or maybe one that landed in their lap by a miracle, so there's no track record. If I want to do a shared revenue or low-risk deal for them, then I would have to figure out what's an easy, repeatable way to get them clients. It's a catch-22. What do you recommend? There's number 1. Number 2, continuing the concept of go with what you know. I'm really good at setting up automations in ConvertKit and using Zapier to set up automations with third-party applications like Zoom webinars, LearnDash, etc. However, if I offer this, it would be to a new market with which I'm not familiar. I know the tech and SaaS market to a certain extent, but they buy tools like Pardo and Marketo, not ConvertKit. I've never heard of that. I have written and self-published a book, and now by discovering Dennis Yu's Content Factory, thanks to you, Frankie, I could shortcut the book writing process for clients, but I still think I would need to get some sort of cash up front because I haven't done it before. This scenario is a kind of go with what you know, but with new technology. I believe I'm pretty tech savvy, but still it's an unknown quantity. I have to make something work pretty damn quickly because I need to add an extra income to my full-time job to make up for the side hustle I had writing blog posts, which was replaced by ChatGPT. What do you suggest? Firstly, my man, that is a serious message. I know what it's like, you know, when the market, you know, updates and then you end up losing some shit, like, you know, it sounds like in your case you had a whole article writing service, and then ChatGPT came through, and like nobody wants to pay for articles anymore, which sucks, but you know, it's just part of the ever evolving game of technology. So my first thoughts were, by the way, is you mentioned potentially helping clients create a book. We actually have a book writing process. I'll send that to you, any of you guys who are interested. And I got this from a friend and mentor. His name is Ken, in the injury space. And what they found out is a lot of times when people get injured in an accident, there's other places they go to, predominantly auto body shops and physiotherapists. And so he had created a little book, and he would have his brother drive around to auto body shops and physiotherapists and say, "Can I leave a couple of free copies of this book in your waiting room?" And he knew his math and knew his numbers, and he said, every time I give away a book, or every 14 times I give away a book, I sign a client. So he's getting a client for like $56. Their average client is worth $6,000. Like, it's just good math that works all day long. And a book was driving like a huge shit ton of sales. And simultaneously, I had figured out like a sort of template for writing the book, because it was just based on like, you know, a couple of like kind of different things that I had seen again. So we created a book process, and what it would be is like I would just interview a client for an hour, use a tool to transcribe that interview, and then we would essentially just clean that interview up, format it, and it wouldn't be like a book, like a 200-page Amazon book, but it's like more like a booklet, like 40, 50 pages used as a marketing tool. And I usually found, like, even then, like, I would use it as a foot in the door offer, but we could charge like $2-3 grand up front, and people were happy to pay for a book that like pre-sold their thing, especially if you're dealing with high ticket clients. Like, if they get even just 1-2 clients off of a book, it'll pay for itself. So point being, I'm happy to send you that process, and you can swipe that and use that as your first date if you'd like. Having said that, the first one is, you mentioned start off with what you know, but if you're dealing with businesses that don't have clients or customers, it doesn't really make sense to run campaigns to past clients. Like, if they're in startup mode, there can be other ways you can help them, but I don't usually do like back-endy kind of revenue share deal stuff. By the way, we got a little offer I haven't mentioned lately just because I've been busy with our event. But for revenue share deals, for those of you guys who want to make like 10 grand on a weekend, they're super easy to get. That's the real benefit. It's because you're not really selling anything other than like, let me sell your shit, and when it's done, you know, we can split a little bit of the money. It works extremely well for people who have like neglected past customers, which is pretty much every business that's been around longer than 5 years. But having said that, I wouldn't approach like a revenue share deal if they ain't got client flow. One of my mentors describes revenue share deals as like, imagine you're trying to make a perfect poker hand, like a royal flush, and you need the 10 of spades, the jack of spades, the queen of spades, the king of spades, and the ace of spades, right, to make like a perfect royal flush. What most people do is think you have to show up as the hero with all the cards, meaning the client has the 10 and you're bringing the jack, the queen, the king, the ace. But I found what works so much better is revenue share deals work with people already winning. They're already winning, and you just help them win more. So they're the ones with the ace of spades. They already got a winning offer. They already got clients. They already got, you know, them in a database. They already got stuff to sell them. Like, the only thing you're bringing is just like the resources to go execute on it. So we found those are the best people to do revenue share deals for. So you can do that in any market, by the way. You don't have to actually know anybody. And it's like, because you're not asking for anything up front, like most people do this, give me money, then I'll give you result. If you go, let me get you a result and then you can give me money, like, it's not hard to open any door, right? I want to sell your shit is like universally just sexy. And so the key with that, though, and we've got this inside the course for those of you guys who are interested. I'll put a link for that if I can find it real quick. Actually, let's post it after. But it covers like basically who makes a good revenue share partner. You have to know that deal, otherwise you'll just chase people and not get paid. Oscar says, what's up, my man? He says, when you do revenue share with ads, do you split the ad spend? Typically, Oscar, we do have some people that do revenue share deal with ads and SEO and things like that. But to be honest, I only do it with customer lists. Like, I don't try and sell new people. But having said that, usually I wouldn't suggest it unless you already have something that's working on a retainer model. and you know your exact cost. Like, I would not guess on those. So, like, let's just say, for example, you're in 5 solar markets, and you know for sure you can get $100 leads, and you know if they get 10 of them, they're going to close. And so, if you spend $1,000 on ads, give or take, they're going to close a deal, and they're willing to pay you like $5,000 for every deal they get. You know, I'm obviously bullshitting numbers for those of you guys who are in solar. Like, you know, I'm not, like, those aren't real numbers, but just giving an example. If you know every time you're going to spend $1,000 you're going to get 5 back, then I would do something like that. But if you don't know your numbers, I wouldn't even touch a front end revenue share deal unless you were sure. So we have like Dan in our group. He does like really big commercial roofing stuff, and he has a revenue share deal, or a couple of them actually, if I'm not mistaken, with like big roofing companies, and he brings them deals, and they pay him like roughly like 30% of the profit. So if they get a big $200,000 roof, it's not all profit. Like, the profit might be like 40,000, but they'll pay him like 30% of the 40,000 that they're actually keeping, so he can get like 12 grand for a commercial roof kind of thing. And he does it primarily with SEO, a little bit with paid ads. But again, he knows his cost. He knows he's going to make money every time he brings them a deal, and he knows who makes a good partner for them. But as a general rule, I wouldn't try and like do revenue share deal for front end deals. I think even knowing that, like, I wouldn't. I actually prefer not to do revenue share deals with local businesses at all, even though like they can absolutely and do work with local businesses. I like them to do really, really well with either SaaS companies that don't have SaaS or e-commerce companies that don't have info products on the back end. So like easy example, like let's say you're talking to a company that sells resistance bands and all things fitness and like, you know, supplements and all that. Like, it's easy to bolt on exercise DVDs, and usually the DVDs have like really high margins because it costs $3 to make a DVD, and you might be able to charge, you know, $2.49 for it. And so I like revenue share deals where I can bolt on info products to their business, either, you know, courses, trainings, masterminds, things like that, because they just tend to be high or high-end services because they have high margins. So if you can work that in, like, I feel like that's just like a really good thing to do. So anyways, I hope that's helpful to both you, Oscar, and as well Fernando. Also, I just wanted to mention on your second thing, Fernando, before we're gone, is you said you're really good at setting up automations. I always want to like be clear, is like I know you're just like talking this, you know, between you and I, but automations are not what people are buying. Like, they're always buying the outcome it creates and the problem it solves, not Zapier. So you never want to present your Zapier as a Zapier thing, you know what I mean? Like, for example, we have a Zapier that we just instituted in our business so that we have a handwritten note service. It's actually called Handwritten with a Y. And what it is like they write like a handwritten note that gets sent out. And so like what happens for us is a client orders, and then we immediately drop a handwritten thank you note in the mail. And so they unexpectedly get a note from us just telling them how much we appreciate our folks, which we do, by the way. But I wouldn't sell like Zapier and connections. I would sell like, you know, make your clients smile, like wow them, create a great first impression, right? Like, that's the kind of thing. I'm not actually selling that for anybody, but I'm just using that as an example. Like, they want the outcome of it is my point. The smiling, happy client who's, you know, really excited to be there. It's not the, you know, something else they're buying. Drew says, can't legally do back-end deals with PI, right? You can, Drew, but you have to structure it a little different. So there are 2 ways you can do it. One is you can actually legally register in 3 states and set up a law firm. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but then you can be paid legally revenue share deals up to 33% if you're willing to go through that paperwork quagmire. And we've actually, we have not done that, but we have seriously considered doing that. The second thing is you can work it out to a per deal. They can pay for marketing, they can pay for leads. So let's say, for example, their average case value is worth $6,000, and they're willing to pay like up to $1,000 per signed deal, and you find if they get 5 inquiries, they on average will close 1. Then that means like 5 inquiries for 1,000 is about $200 per inquiry, whether they close it or not. So it might just be like $200 a lead, and it'll average out to like 1,000. You can get creative with that and get around like the legal limitations to do it in the legal industry. Tavius, my man, is so the reason you don't lead into revenue share as foot in the door offer is because you know their numbers. I'm guessing you could put the qualifications on the Loom video, but you also can't trust that they will pay you. That's the biggest thing, Tavius, is actually is you can actually lead with revenue share deals all the time, and I'm not saying I've done a billion of them, but you know I've done enough of them to say like absolutely you can lead with a revenue share deal. The biggest thing that you're risking as a revenue share deal is just that people won't fucking pay you, right? Like, who wants to do all that work and then not get paid for shit, or like they can't close them and stuff. And so what most people think the solution is, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, is they think tie them down in contracts so they're legally obligated to pay you. But what I've found that at least works better for us is I try and test them small, both for how easy is it going to be to get them a result, and then two, for like after I got you that little mini result, are you going to fucking pay me? And if either of those things like fail in the little test, meaning like it turns out it's going to be harder than I thought to generate them revenue, or like you just don't fucking pay me, or there's like, oh, you make me wait 6 weeks for it, 8 weeks or whatever, then I'm like, I just don't work with you. That's it. Like the end. No deal. So that's, and I compare this to like what not enough people understand in entrepreneurship. Like there's risk. There's fucking risk in all of it. Like we're the ones who take on the risk, like always trying to dump it on clients. But that's also why we make more money than other people, because we're willing not to take on more risk. And the key to risk is how you manage it. It's not eliminating it. And so I always use the story that, you know, one of my mentors told me. He's like, if you were looking at a piece of land and you thought you could get rich because that piece of land had gold underneath it, and so you reached out to the owner and you said, I'm thinking of buying this land, the best thing you could do is test your assumption as fast as possible using the least amount of time, the least amount of money, and the least amount of energy. So I might, in that example, say to the owner, I say, hey, we're really interested in buying your property. Do you think we could do a little 1 hour or 2 hour geological survey just to make sure it has the minerals we're looking for in the ground? And they probably say, yeah, why don't you just run a little test? And I would verify that there's actually gold. And I created there's a term for this in the investing world. It's called asymmetric upside, which means if I'm right, I'm going to get filthy rich on gold. But if I'm wrong, like I lost an hour or two and maybe hired a couple of guys for $100, you want to think about revenue share deals like that. It's like, how can I get in, get out with like a little bit of risk? And if I'm right, I'm creating maximum upside for myself. And what happens is, by the way, if you do 5 revenue share deals, which are easy to get, you'll swing and miss 2 times. Because either like maybe they have a bad relationship with their people, or their offer has, you know, gotten cold or whatever. There's different reasons for it, but if you manage that risk intelligently, you'll end up with 3 out of 5 people, and you can end up with like $10,000 to $30,000 a month clients. And so you go get 5 deals, and 3 of them turn out, and you can like do $100,000 a month off of like 3 clients. That's kind of a little bit more the direction I'm going, is like just working for bigger and better kind of influencer types, and just having like a smaller roster of clients overall, but like bigger, better clients that like replace the need to have thousands. I'm not saying that's the right system for everybody, but that's like what I've been kind of working at the last little while. Plus you guys, because I love you guys too. Arsum says, hey Frankie, thanks for answering my question in the Q&A. Can you tell me how a person can leverage expert interviews? Should we create info products out of it, or what else? Kindly share your thoughts on that and multiple scenarios for leveraging expert interviews. Well, firstly, Arsum, if you're going to do expert interviews, like I wouldn't just do them randomly, willy-nilly, like just interview anyone, anytime, any place. Like the best expert interviews are people who have like overlapping interests with you and your audience and the people you're trying to get. So like, for example, I've been doing a little bit of this in the water damage space in the 90-day challenge, which kind of, by the way, I've been slacking for like 2 or 3 weeks. But in my defense, I had to go back home to Canada for like my mom's celebration of life thing, and then we just put on a live event. So I've been hanging with folks all day long for that. So I'll be picking it back up this week anyway. But the people I'm interviewing are like the industry leaders in that industry. Why? Because they have all the clients I'm trying to access, right? They already have them. They're in their audience. So I'm not like just randomly interviewing somebody, anyone off the street. Like I'm choosing people that essentially have the buyers that I'm trying to reach. And then how would I leverage it is like when you put that stuff out there in front of them, like it's a pull machine that brings people into your world and like closes deals for you. So there's lots of ways you can leverage them. As you mentioned, info products, you can use them to sell agency services. Like that to me would be the most obvious one to use it, is like if you're going to do expert interviews, interview people that are like industry leaders in your niche, and then use that to like drive business backwards to you and show that you have like real relationships with those people. Suraj says, client says, I'm ready. What do you do next? What is your process of taking payments? Send the client an invoice and ask them to pay using PayPal. Provide them with credit card form and ask them to fill the CC details, and you process it using Stripe every month. Ask them their CC details on the call and process it while keeping the client on hold. What's your process of taking payments from clients? Suraj, I like to think about taking payments as also like onboarding right after. So like it's not just like get the credit card and then like move on kind of deal. It's like actually the moment they pay, that's when you transition into like welcome into our world, into our family, into our system. So when we typically do it, right after is like followed by like hey, we're so honored you join us, blah blah blah, like getting that part started. I think understanding that that's what you're actually doing. So I found that like this is the two ways that work best for us. Way number one is if you're doing old school and you're actually doing calls, like take the payment right over the phone. Like I know it may feel like you've already taken 60 minutes of their time, but like 2 more minutes for the credit card is not going to make or break them, and 2 more minutes after that to onboard. So like if they're ready to go, like do it like right then and there. So like don't delay. My favorite way of doing it now that we close a lot of our stuff over text, is I just say like, I just ask people, is it okay if I send you the payment link? And they say, yeah, sure, no problem. And then I send it. And then they'll say either like, I'm going to get to it after or whatever. But there's a secret kind of like sales psychology in that. I call it red light, green light. The way most people do sales is they push onward and onward and onward, and like they're trying to race towards the moment of the credit card. And what I like to do is like stop periodically and just ask them if we're like on the same page and we're in agreement, like, and we see things the same way, which is why I call it red light, green light. And they'll give you some form of feedback that's like red light, like, no, that doesn't work for me, or green light, like, okay, yes, we're on the same page. Let's keep moving here. And is it okay if I send you the payment link is an example of red light, green light. Because if the person says, no, I'm not ready to do that, you probably still have some objections and things like that. But if they say like, yeah, like go ahead and send that, like that's a green light to continue. And that point I would start like transitioning to onboarding. So that's what works for us, is like when we did old school calls, just like take credit card right on the phone. If not, like if you're doing it text and stuff, and you could actually do this on the phone too, but just, is it okay if I send you the payment link? And I make a point to tell them it's unfancy. That's like, it's just a simple little payment link, blah, blah, blah. I don't have like embedded forms and videos and all that shit. It's just like, it's just a very naked, like go to Stripe, enter your details kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm sure there's other cool ways too, but like that's what works for us. So feel free to steal that. Last question we got on the docket. Michael says, what platform do you guys recommend for webinars? Want to keep the sign up on our site? So I'll tell you how we did it for a lot of years. We actually had a lot of success selling over webinars. The only reason I actually don't do webinars anymore is I just sell a lot of my stuff over Google Docs, which is even simpler. I love selling through webinars because they're leverageable. But the problem with them is like I sometimes would spend like 4 or 5 days just getting my slides ready to like then talk for 45 minutes, and I would try and rehearse and get it perfect. Now that I just do my stuff in a Google Doc, often like I can just dump my thoughts in a Google Doc in 20 minutes and then just share what I want to share. And then it's a lot easier from an execution. It doesn't need to be this overly polished thing. And I find it still works just as well because people are there for like good information, not for like to have your overly polished slides. Like it doesn't really make a difference, I found, at least for us in our conversion rate. So I still do webinars in a different form. Like it's a lot of Google Doc. I actually just did some stuff in the restoration space. Still works in any space. Like you just fire it up, start talking in a just like with some notes and some pictures. Like I'm like, if they let me do it on a napkin, I would. Now, having said that, what did we use as a software setup? I use Stealth Seminar, and what I would do is I would record version 1 live with like real people, and then I would automate it and use the automated deliver on demand kind of thing. So like, you know, and by the way, this should be exciting to you guys. You actually don't need huge numbers of people to watch your webinar to have like big sales numbers. I think when we hit 50 grand a month, originally just with webinars, I think we had 350 total leads in our system. That's it. Like on Facebook ads at like $5 a piece, like we're talking less than $2,000. I think ours, we probably paid like $8, $9, $10 a piece, but even still, like, you know, $3,500 spent to do like 50K a month. Like that's not a bad deal, I think. Like that's good math that works all day long. So wanted to share that with you guys. And then as far as like how do you keep them on our site, like we use lead pages, and then lead pages you can either through a WordPress plugin or through HTML, you can make it a standalone page on your site. And so you're not actually driving people to Stealth Seminar, you're driving them to your website where they sign up, and you can send them to a thank you page and offer them something else even before the webinar, which by the way, I think if you're doing this in like local business niches, the best thing to offer them on the site is, hey, if you just want somebody to do this for you, like we'll just set it up for you, like book a call, or you know, watch the video we send, or whatever your process is for closing there. But like just invite them straight to a sales conversation right from there. But the webinar platform that worked the best for us is Stealth Seminar, and the reason why we used it is because once you did the one live version, you could automate it over and over, so I could be delivering webinars 24 hours a day. I think it was like, it's been a few years since I used it, so it may have changed a little bit, but it's about $70 a month. And I don't know, it just fucking worked. And actually, one of the things that Stealth Webinar did that I don't know the other ones do is they would say max 100 capacity, and then they do this thing where it makes it look like your webinar is populating to 100 people. So there could be one person on the automated replay alone by themselves, and in their world, it looks like 100 other people are watching it with them, and so it had a social proof. I actually remember like getting on calls with lawyers, and they would say, that was really impressive that you were able to get 100 lawyers on your thing, and it was just Stealth Seminar making me look cooler than I actually am. And so, but I want to tell you guys that because like you don't need to hit huge numbers. Like that's why I say it's always like, especially in an agency, like high ticket kind of service, the biggest, most important metric is like, are the right people coming through the machine? Because like I said, you can do 50K a month with 350. I think we actually had less than 350 leads. Like I say that like 342 or some shit like that. And so you don't need to have like massive numbers to be able to have like good paydays. And we could have actually gone way beyond that at that point. Like the once the webinar was working, wasn't an issue of like, can we spend more on traffic and close more deals? We were in that stage just like trying to figure out our fulfillment and consistently like being able to deliver on all the promises we were making. So, you know, we had other issues that we were sorting through, but like it could have easily been a $300,000 a month webinar or whatever. So, you know, I'm just sharing that because I hope that it inspires you guys to be able to do your own cool stuff. And it looks like that's all we got for questions, so you guys know, unless you guys want to throw any. Oh, we got Drew here. There we go. Have you done any straight productized services in the lead gen agency space, like cold traffic to a purchase link? Lots. I mean, I think maybe we mean different things, but to me, productizing a service means like standardizing it, what it is you do, and getting away from being a generalist to just like, this is the one thing we do over and over and over for everybody. And what happens when you do that, that's what I at least mean by productize. When you do that, what happens is like it becomes two things happen. Like there's this essentially what happens is this is a side effect of niching down. Thing number one is your messaging suddenly gets on point. I call it messaging with teeth because when you're a generalist, it's hard to write messaging that means anything. It's just like if you're any business anywhere, we can get you more customers, right? And I'm not saying that's inherently a bad message, but the lack of meaningful specifics make it like kind of lack some teeth. As where if you're speaking to somebody specific, like I can say, hey, if you're a personal injury lawyer with a staff between 50 and 100 and you have at least 1,000 visitors a month and you spend at least $100,000 per month on ads, we can do blah, blah, blah. It's so specific that it's like it's just going to work better. So when you productize it, like thing number one that happens is the messaging has teeth because it's written for somebody specifically. And then the second thing, and this is actually to me the more important reason, is you standardize delivery in a way where you can repeat it over and over. And the example I use of this is when McDonald's first started scaling, McDonald's was not what you think of McDonald's today. They didn't have McChickens and ice cream sundaes and the fucking McRib monstrosity and all that, like in salads and morning pancakes and egg McMuffins. They only sold fucking burgers. That's it. And so productized to me means like only selling burgers. If somebody comes in the door and says like, do you guys make pizza? You say, no, we don't make pizza. Or let me refer you to a good pizza place is probably an even better answer. But what happens is when you do that, what I found is when you're a generalist doing custom work, because every time somebody orders, like if they order a pizza, you got to go in the back and find pizza ingredients, or you got to go to the store and get them, and you got to go, hey, we got to get some cheese, and you got to make dough and let it rise. And like because of that, like every time you do a custom solution, I found, at least for me personally, being a custom generalist, like 5 to 15 clients, anything more than that, and I'm maxed out. Like that's it. Like that's 60, 70, 80 hours a week. You can be at like 12 clients and be stressed the fuck out from 12 clients. When you have a productized thing, you can have like 50 clients and have barely anything to do because you're just selling burgers. Like the test for me is like when somebody comes to McDonald's, like original McDonald's, and orders a burger, they're already done like 90% of it before they start. They just might personalize it a little bit. Oh, you want some extra ketchup, Drew? Sure. Oh, you don't like the onions? Okay, sure, we'll take the onions off. But for the most, you want an extra pickle? Okay. You don't want any pickles? We'll take the pickles off. But for the most part, like it's already done before they began. And so that's where you want to get your service delivery to, where you're almost more like an order taker and less like a problem solver for everybody. And then what'll happen is when you're solving problems for clients, you're solving them at a machine level where you're going, how can I make this one change here so that it creates better results for all 20 people? So you still get to use like your creative problem solving juices, but instead you're thinking about how to solve one problem for 50 people instead of trying to solve 50 problems one time. And as a result, they work better. So have we like kind of done services like that? Like plenty, my dude. And not only that, just like, from coaching and mentoring people in the space, like we've had shit tons of them that we like have done for other people, so or helped other people to create and have sold over the years. So absolutely can be done. Just should mention for those of you guys who are interested, I'm adding some really fucking cool stuff to the Wolfpack, and what we're going to be doing is kind of like what I call Frankie's super secret grocery store methodology. And what I mean by that is I told this story, but it makes the point, is in the beginning, I used to, my first job when I was like 13 years old, it wasn't a real job, it was kind of under the table, paid cash. But we sold chocolate bars door to door for the blind, and we'd get this big, heavy-ass cooler full of chocolate in the summertime. And we'd just walk from one end of the city to another, and then we'd knock on doors and say, want to buy some chocolate? And we basically got 3 responses. Like, they didn't answer. Sometimes they were there and just didn't want to talk to you, but lots of times just nobody home. Number 2, they would say, yes. And they would buy some, and sometimes they'd say, they were usually polite about it, usually said no thank you. Sometimes they're like, you've woke my fucking kid up, and you get a door slammed in your face. And if you did that for like 6-8 hours a day, you would eventually sell some chocolate, and your own personal like monetary needs, at least me as a 13-year-old, would get satiated. But what no one talks about is it's a fucking grind. It's like such a grind, for real. Like, and that's what most people are doing in the agency world, cold outreach like that, just digital knocking, going from door to door. We have something that I call the shoe store methodology, or the grocery store, the shoe store methodology. And it's based on the idea that like there's already people in your industry who have all the buyer flow. And the example of that I give is like once a month we would go to the local grocery store, and our boss, who was kind of a dick, would meet with the manager, and he would say, hey, is it okay if we like sell our chocolate bars outside? It's for a good cause, for the blind. And they'd say, sure, go for it. And we would have like 10 kids at all the doors at the grocery store. There were 3 sets of main doors, and all of us would be out of chocolates in like 15, maybe 20 minutes, because there were just new buyers, steady flow. And so what most people try and do is they drum up business like door-to-door grunt work, but you can go to the source of all the buyers, tap yourself into that flow, and kind of just like rapidly expand your business from that. And so that's like what we're doing for folks inside of the Wolfpack right now. And I'm introducing a done for you element. It's still a few weeks in the making, because I'm gonna have to finish training and processing all my VAs and get it all set up inside of a CRM. But once we have that set up, it's gonna be game over, because like I'm just gonna be able to get people in our inside of the Wolfpack meetings with shoe stores, and then also bringing to the table fulfillment partners, so that you can actually just like get the work from the shoe stores and give it to someone else and make a spread in the middle, and almost really have nothing to do other than the beach, which I think is the best thing to do, or whatever your version of the beach is. So hope that's interesting to you guys. And if you want to check that out, like I said, you can go check out the Wolfpack. You can go to beyondagencyprofits.com. There's also, if you want to check out the Wolfpack specifically, /Wolfpack, and all of that good stuff. But I'm just going to keep making it better. And I'm really excited to be able to get people meetings with grocery stores. Everybody's talking like cold outreach. And every day I hear about cold outreach. And I think most people, A, don't send good messages, and B, don't go after the right people. And what I'm working on is like top tier messaging sent to the people with all the influence. And like why we sold out the chocolate bars, for those of you guys wondering, like why did that work, is because there's new buyers already. Like the grocery store is built 30, 40, 50, 100 years of buyers. And so a new buyer walks by every 5-10 seconds. Like they have endless flow for you to tap into. And for most of you guys, I say this, like to hit your wildest income goals, for the vast majority of you, we're talking between 20 to 100 clients. Like we're not talking a huge number of people. So imagine you can tap into the flow where like there's a new person coming every 5 or 10 seconds. So really, really excited to share that with you guys. Much appreciation for today's call. I'm tired from our event, but we had a fucking awesome time. Probably braggadocious a little bit, but we just had an awesome mix of like really fucking cool business talk and just a damn fucking good time with some cool people. Probably be writing some posts about this, because when we were at a world famous beach called Balandra, and there was a guy who drove up in a boat selling coconuts and mangoes, and we all bought some, and they were like double or triple the price on the land. But at Balandra, at the famous beach we were at, it's only accessible by boat. So the only one selling anything at all was this guy. So your choices were buy it from him or no one. And for that reason, he almost had like what we would call putting a moat around your business, where he can charge double and triple the price and get it without any resistance. And that's where I want you guys to be, is like in your own little moat. And there's always these like little sub opportunities that people don't know how to identify. And when you get into those little pockets where you're like in your own category of one, what I call a little mini monopoly, then you can charge whatever you want for mangoes and coconuts. And not only that, they were selling it to an affluent market, because there were like quite a bit of yachts and really big boats and things like that. And right, so like the people they were selling to got money, and then all they have to bring to the table is some fresh coconuts and mangoes brought to the beach where nobody else can sell it. And make a fucking damn good living doing it. So I want you guys to be those kind of businesses. I don't want you guys to be selling mangoes on the street where there's 100 people and tons of competition. I want you to be selling your mangoes and coconuts on Balandra next to the yachts where there's nobody else selling it, and therefore the choices are buy it from you or buy it from no one. So we're going to talk more about that in the future. I hope to see some more of you guys soon for that. We'll be posting a video of that, but I'm not gonna lie. Our man Ryan is putting together the video on it. It's going to be the best video I ever made, and I'm almost worried about how many people are going to want to join the next one because I don't know if I can handle that much capacity. Anyways, thank you so much to the guys who came and those of you guys who watched these. I appreciate you all, and much love for you, and may the force be with you. Guys, if you like this video, you're also going to want to grab some free bonuses, which you can get at our website, Beyond Agency Profits. To make it easy for you, I've put the links to it in the description of this video, as well as pinned in the top comment. And we've got a couple of awesome things. This is what you'll get after you sign up. You get some of our best training, how we're closing clients over Loom videos, how we sometimes sign clients that is not a misprint for under $5 US, how to demonstrate your value in like amazing ways, trainings, how to have your clients write the best copy of your life, how we're closing without phone calls, campaigns that we've generated for clients that have done over $100,000, as well as scripts you can use to get conversations going with clients in under 10 minutes. All you got to simply do is go there, enter your name and email address, and then this is what you'll see on the other side. So if that's interesting to you, make sure to click the links below, and I will see you on the other side.